Money is not identity. It is information you use, not a verdict you are stuck with. Most people think being poor is just not having enough money. But Seneca aimed at something uglier. You can bring in a solid paycheck and still live like a beggar because your mind keeps asking for more. Picture this. You are standing in the kitchen, phone in hand, refreshing your balance like it is a pulse check. You mutter, "I need a little more." Someone nearby asks, "More for what?" And you do not have a clean answer. Just a tight feeling in your chest. That is the psychological cage. And it can come with nicer furniture. So here is the reset. Run the Stoic Wealth Audit. 6 money habits that keep you stuck, plus replacements that rebuild internal sovereignty, so your finances stop riding your nervous system. By the end, you will have a single identity rule you can repeat under stress. A control checklist for money anxiety. A quick test for approval spending. A definition of enough. A discomfort drill. And a virtue firewall. Start with one sentence. Money is useful. It is not a verdict. Then write one question in your notes app. What am I trying to prove with this purchase? Money is not identity. It is a tool you hold, not a label that holds you. Stoicism does not call money bad. It calls money non-sovereign. Money can expand your options, but it cannot upgrade your character. And that is the point of preferred indifference. You can prefer it, pursue it, and still refuse to worship it. The modern problem is not spending. It is identity spending. It is not investment risk. It is ego risk. A chart dips and your mood dips with it. Someone compliments your lifestyle and you feel taller for 10 minutes. Then you feel smaller again. So you reach for another purchase, another flex, another number. It is awkward to admit because it sounds vain. But most people have a version of it, quietly. So this is not a budget lecture. It is an identity rebuild that makes your money behavior calmer as a side effect. The Stoic Wealth Audit is simple. Every financial move has to pass 2 tests. Does this increase inner sovereignty? Does this move me toward real capability? Not social theater. Habit number 1, identity fusion, net worth, becomes self-worth. Money is not identity. Say it like you mean it. Because this habit sneaks in fast. You check your account and you do not just see a number. You feel a verdict. You are standing in a grocery line. Phone in your hand. And you refresh your banking app one more time. You whisper, "I am behind." A friend beside you looks over and says, "Behind what?" You shrug and say, "Everyone." Your friend pauses and goes, "So your value is a leaderboard." That sentence stings because it lands on something real. When money defines you, normal volatility turns into personal humiliation. A market dip feels like you failed as a human. A surprise bill feels like proof you are not competent. Then your decisions stop being decisions. They become ego defense. You either clamp down with fear, or you swing for risky wins to get your identity back. Stoicism treats money as preferred, not sacred. Useful. Yes. Worth pursuing. Yes. But it is still outside your character. That is what makes it safe to hold. When you stop letting it define you, you stop collapsing when it changes. Here is the line to practice. I am a person with principles who uses money, not a person made of money. It will feel a little cheesy the first time. Do it anyway. Then run a simple check. After you look at your balance, rate your mood. Shift from -2 to +2. If the number moves your identity, that is fusion. Once you loosen that grip, the anxiety usually tries a new route, controlling outcomes you do not actually own. Habit 2. Outcome. Obsession. Violating the dichotomy of control. Process beats prediction. When you forget that, every headline starts to feel like a personal emergency. You are on the couch with your laptop open, market chart on one side, group chat on the other. You say out loud, "The market is down. I need to do something." And then a quieter voice shows up in your head and says, "Or you need to calm down." You answer back, "But what if it keeps dropping?" The voice says, "Control what you can. Stop worshipping forecasts." This is the dichotomy of control in money form. You control inputs, skills you build, your saving rate, your spending rules, your sleep, your consistency. You do not control markets, oboes, timing, or the mood of the crowd. When you try to control the second list, you pay in stress and dumb moves. The awkward part is that anxiety feels like responsibility. It feels like you are being vigilant. But most of the time, it is just your nervous system grabbing the steering wheel because uncertainty is uncomfortable. So take the wheel back with one rule. I manage process, not panic. Then write 3 words in your notes app. Spend, earn, learn, underspend. Choose one action you can do today, like setting a 24-hour delay on non-essentials. Under-earn. Choose one action, like sending a single reach-out message or applying to one role. Under-learn. Choose one skill block, like 30 minutes of training, to keep yourself honest. Use a control split list. 2 columns, controllable and not controllable. If it is not controllable, you are allowed to plan, but you are not allowed to spiral. Once your process is steady, the next leak shows up fast. You start spending to borrow confidence from other people. Habit 3. Renting self-worth. Spending for approval. Stop buying applause. If you do not, your wallet becomes a tip jar for other people's opinions. After you get the process under control, this is the leak that still drains you quietly. A coworker glances at your car in the parking lot and says, "Nice car." You smile and say, "Thanks." It lands like a warm hit of approval. Then, later, you are alone, scrolling in your kitchen, and the feeling flips. You hear yourself think, "Why do I feel nervous now?" Because the compliment became your paycheck. And paychecks create pressure to keep performing. That is what renting self-worth looks like. Your confidence rises when you are noticed and drops when you are not. It is fragile by design. And the rent always increases. First, it is a nicer car. Then it is a watch. Then it is dinner you did not want to pay for. Then it is a vacation photo you needed to post. The price keeps climbing because the landlord is the crowd. Stoicism calls this a bad trade. You are giving away your inner stability for a few seconds of external validation. The fix is simple and a little uncomfortable, which is why it works. Here is the rule. If I would not buy it anonymously, I do not buy it. Imagine you are invisible for a day. No one can see your shoes, your phone, your brand labels, your restaurant choice. Would you still want the purchase? If the answer is no, it is not a need. It is a performance. Make it measurable for 7 days. Tag every purchase as utility, joy, or approval. Joy is allowed. The goal is not to become a monk. The goal is to stop bleeding money to borrow confidence. When approval spending drops, the real monster speaks louder. More. Habit 4. The more trap. No definition of enough. Define enough. If you cannot name it, you will keep paying for it forever. You are sitting at a small table with your laptop open and a budgeting app on your phone. You say, "Once I hit that number, I will relax." A friend looks up and asks, "What number?" You laugh a little and say, "I will know when I see it." Your friend says, "That is not a plan. That is hunger." And it is irritating because it is true. Without enough, every win becomes a new baseline. You get a raise, and your brain calls it normal by next week. You pay off a debt and immediately start shopping for a new obligation. The trap is not wanting better. The trap is never letting better count. Stoicism treats this as a clarity problem, not a motivation problem. If your desires are vague, they will always feel urgent, and urgency makes you impulsive. So you give yourself a definition that your nervous system can hold on to. Here is the rule. Enough is a number plus a purpose. Write it down in plain language. Enough equals X dollars per month because it buys Y freedom. Freedom can be rent covered without panic. It can be a runway for a job change. It can be time with your kids. It can be sleeping at night. Pick one thing you actually care about, not a status symbol you hope will silence your insecurity. This part can feel awkward. You might hear a voice saying, "That is small. That is not impressive." Good. Impressive is not the goal. Stable is the goal. Test it with one sentence. If you cannot say you're enough in one sentence, your desires are driving. Once enough is defined in your head, the next step is proving it to your body, so you stop fearing the smallest downgrade. Habit 5. The safety trap. Avoiding voluntary financial discomfort. Inoculate fear. If you want real financial calm, you have to train your nervous system for loss before loss shows up. You open your budget and say, "I cannot cut back. I will feel deprived." And reality answers in the most annoying way possible. Or you will realize you were addicted. Not addicted to luxury, necessarily. Addicted to frictionless comfort. Food delivery because it is easier. Subscriptions because canceling feels like effort. Little upgrades because boredom feels like danger. Comfort makes you fragile. Fragility makes you expensive. When you are fragile, every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Every job change feels impossible. You start paying for certainty the way anxious people pay for silence, with impulse buys, bad deals, and staying too long in situations you hate. Stoics do the opposite. They practice voluntary discomfort like a vaccine. Small controlled exposure so the fear response stops owning you. Here is the protocol. 1 day a week. practice the downgrade on purpose. Eat simple food. Wear old clothes. Skip paid entertainment. Walk instead of rides. Leave the credit card at home if you can. Then ask one question while you feel the discomfort. Is this what I was so afraid of? This is not punishment. It is proof. Proof that you can survive less, which means you can negotiate harder, invest calmer, and take smart risks without shaking. Track it with one number. Discomfort rep, score 0 to 3. 0 avoided. 1 partial. 2 completed. 3 completed plus calm. Write the score every week. When you are no longer terrified of losing money, the final temptation appears. Selling your character for profit. Habit 6. Trading virtue for profit. Selling integrity. Health or peace. Integrity is the asset. When fear of loss fades, the next temptation is quieter and more dangerous, because it comes dressed up as opportunity. You are in a quick meeting, door half closed, and your boss says, "Cut corners." Everyone does it. You hesitate and say, "If I accept this, what do I become?" There is a pause. No speech. No argument. Just silence. That silence is your answer. Because the deal is not about the numbers. It is about who gets shaped by the numbers. Stoicism treats character damage as the only true harm. Money earned through self-betrayal is not free money. It is a loan with brutal interest. You pay it back in stress, sleep, and self-respect. You start hiding parts of your life. You start rationalizing small lies. You start feeling watched even when nobody is watching. That is not wealth. That is a cage with a nicer paycheck. It often looks like a win on paper and a slow collapse in private. The story people tell is, "I recovered the money." The story they do not post is, "It took years to recover peace." That is why the case referenced about Prashant Desai hits. Profit recovered. Recovery of the self took far longer. Here is the rule that keeps you out of that debt. If it costs my integrity or health, it is overpriced. Then make it concrete with a virtue firewall. Write 3 non-negotiables. Sleep, honesty, relationships. Pick yours. If a deal violates even one, it is an automatic no. You have identified the 6th habit. The next step is turning this audit into a 7-day identity rebuild you can track without guessing. Integrity is the asset. And that is why Stoic Finance gets misunderstood. People hear detachment and assume you do not care about money. That is not it. Stoics care the way a surgeon cares about tools. Seriously, precisely, and without worship. You keep it clean. You use it well. And you do not confuse it with your identity. The pose of "I do not care about money" is usually just avoidance. No tracking. No plan. No responsibility. Then the bills show up and the nervous system takes over. Stoicism is the opposite of that. Calm accountability. You can pursue wealth as a preferred indifferent while staying internally sovereign. Here is the translation. Earn hard. Spend clean. Invest patiently. But never let money be the judge in your courtroom. You are scrolling late at night, thumb moving like it is on autopilot, and you feel that tight chest rush. The thought shows up. This will finally make me feel respected. You hover over buy. Then you stop and say, if I would not buy it anonymously, I do not buy it. You set the phone down, drink water, and write one line in notes. What am I trying to prove? It is awkward, but it works. That question you wrote matters. What am I trying to prove? Use it as the trigger for the Stoic Wealth Audit for 7 days. Once a day. Set a timer for 4 minutes and write one money trigger from today in a single sentence. Label it identity, control, approval, more, safety, or virtue. Then apply the matching rule from the 6 habits. Keep a tiny scorecard. Count approval purchases. Mark enough compliance, yes or no. Track discomfort, rep score 0 to 3. Mark virtue firewall violated, yes or no. The win is fewer emotional purchases and faster emotional recovery. Run the audit for 7 days and comment 2 numbers. Your approval purchase count and your discomfort rep score. Data only. If you want the follow-up system, subscribe. Next, we build a Stoic spending system that makes discipline automatic and identity stable.